Hello, everyone, and welcome to Live with the Pricing Lady. I'm Janine Liston, your hostess. This show is all about helping you turn your passion into profits. I work with small business owners to help them build the pricing strategies, the right pricing strategies, so they can confidently charge for the value they deliver and build a sustainably profitable business. Thank you, everyone, for joining me today, and welcome to my guest, Amy Rose Herrick. Hello, Amy.
Hello, it's great to see you again.
Yes, likewise. So Amy and I met, I guess it's been probably not even a month ago, actually,
Yeah. We keep
that we met.
crossing paths though, so we must be
Yes,
hanging
we
out in the
do.
same
We
place.
met at the New Media Summit, or even before that in a podcasting program. Anyways, today on the show, we're going to be talking about how you can add 10K or more to your bottom line each and every year. So this is sustainable profit. And as many of you know, I'm always telling you to put as much effort into your pricing as you do into your cost management. Well, today I thought it'd be a great idea to have Amy come on the show and talk to us about just that, how she helps her customers save. And a lot of times, if I'm right, I believe it's more from managing your cost side of things than it necessarily is from the pricing side, although the two are very strongly related. So, Amy, why don't you start by telling people a little bit about who you are and what you do?
I would say that I am a career entrepreneur. I've been in business for well over 30 years. I have bought businesses. I have sold businesses. I have worked with building them. I've taught classes for Interise, SBA, and some of the other places. Currently doing some classes with AARP for individuals. If it touches money, that's what I do. I'm a chartered financial consultant. I'm an author. My career path has been in finances, has been dealing with money the entire time. And so I've seen all facets of it. And I've even seen the painful side. On our family business, that our 25th year, we won a Small Business of the Year award, which was phenomenal. And then dramatic changes had nothing to do with COVID, but several years ago, dramatic changes. We closed that business just 2 years later after winning a Small Business of the Year award. So I understand all the facets of being profitable, not being profitable, struggling employees. And that's just where I've ended up, is really being able to be a blessing to people, to make them more profitable, to do what they want to do. So very different career path.
Yeah. Yeah. How did you come from a family of entrepreneurs, or how did you get the bug?
True story. In grade school, I became an entrepreneur in grade school. Or at that time, I'll date myself. A lot of kids would pick up pop bottles, or you'd mow lawns or whatever. Well, my brother taught me how to pick up night crawlers during the summertime. And I
Okay.
was an entrepreneur in grade school, and I sold night crawlers to the local bait shop. But I'm the product of a single mom with 4
Okay.
kids, and we didn't have those kind of role models. And
Right.
to end up being an entrepreneur just progressed from being blunt with a lot of you. You can make a certain amount of money as an employee, and you can be an excellent employee. You can do your training. But I was looking around and some of the sales, and I ended up dropping being office management and went into sales with absolutely no income base, because I said, I could do that. I could do that better. And I did. And after doing that for a couple of years, I said, forget this. I'm going into my own business. I can even make more than I can doing the sales and commission. So I went from the corporate management side into no safety net,
Mm-hmm.
commissions only, and then moved to having my own business. So I've been there.
Yeah. And what was your first business aside from selling night crawlers?
Yeah, aside from selling night crawlers, in grade school. Well, it took me several years to go
Mm-hmm.
around to that. But in 1991, I branched out, and I had an opportunity to go work for a financial advisory firm as an independent, which was important to me. And
Mm-hmm.
I had worked in the corporate level. I dealt with investments. I understood cost accounting. Some of my skills were very transferable to that. And
Mm-hmm.
that's before I went into an individual practice, and I worked with them for about 2 years. And then I said, this is really great. It was a male dominated industry. There's nothing wrong with that. I was the only female, and I got tired of not fitting the paradigm. And I was the wife that most of my colleagues had at home.
Right.
Well, I had kids, I had a family. And so then I launched my own financial practice and portfolio management businesses. If it touches money, that's just ended up where my path has been.
Okay, very interesting. Thank you for sharing that. We haven't had this conversation, so
No.
I was curious. So what is it? Maybe you can explain a little bit then how you're helping and who you're helping now.
If I look at a business, any business, I can walk on premises and I can look around and I can say, give me a calculator. Let me ask you a couple of quick questions. And I can tell people on site very quickly, here's where you're losing money. Did you know you're losing it here? What about this? What is this dynamic? And not be in a nasty way. It's just a talent that I have that I can see where these black holes are that people are losing money. And it can be everything from operations. It could be the your pricing structure. It could be how you're utilizing staff. It could be your facilities. You know, every business dynamic is very different. So that's one thing. But I can't go on site everywhere. And with a lot of the businesses that I work with on the tax side and others and classes I've taught, I can teach them, all right, let's concentrate on this area. Here are some things that are probably happening to you. And I see a lot of those things happening from business to business. So it became very easy for me to put together coursework to say, let's concentrate on this. Let me teach you. Let me show you some formulas. And let's turn this, profit sucking black hole into a profit rich area.
Right.
Get it dialed in. You can do this over and over again. And let's work on the next area. And that's why I say there are many people, they're losing $10,000, $100,000 or more, not because they're not highly intelligent and they're not, devoted and they've got great employees, but they don't know what they're missing. And their employees don't know it either.
Right. Right. So are the businesses that you work with typically in a certain industry or a specific size of business?
No,
it's across the board.
because no, and that's the other really interesting thing about how diverse they can be. You could be a brick and mortar business and you have certain dynamics. You could be a service-based business and you have different dynamics. Of course, now we have a lot of internet-based business, but you all have dynamics, whether that is staffing, advertising, pricing, of course, which you work with a lot. Every business has very similar things. And part of I'd say passion that has come about is some of the statistics. And you and I have shared these because we have some of the same thinking. But when you look at it and say pre-COVID, that only 40% of businesses were making a profit of at least $1, that means 60% aren't. And you look at that statistics a little more, and that doesn't mean the owners are taking wages out.
I'm not sure if you can hear.
Yeah, that's a little scary too.
Yeah.
So there's room there for growth for businesses to be successful, but sometimes they just need a little hand up.
Right. And I think there's something to be said for having an external or an outside pair of eyes on things. Because you're, at least one step removed from what's going on, so you can see it from a different context as well.
Yes, and it's not a personality contest. It's not a seniority contest. It's merely observing and saying, how can we make this better so we can all make more money? And in many cases, you can put incentives or some other things in place so that as the company grows, we can reward the employees and we can all share the wealth. But we have to have the wealth to share.
To share first. Right. Oh, that's an excellent point. It has to be there first. So can you maybe give us an example of how you've helped a client to add 10K or more sustainably to their business every year?
Oh, this one is easy. Does anybody advertise who's watching this? Do you struggle with advertising? Because it is like the elephant in the room. It is the most painful thing to be working on. And with advertising, I have a course that is advertising must give you ROI, which is return on investment. And it also has a workbook with it. If you look at most people's advertising, they have no idea how effective it is or if it's even effective. And it's gone out of favor, but for quite a while there was TOMA, TOMA, top of mind awareness. And I'm going to give you a quick example, Janine. Janine, you know what cars are? Do you know what a car is? Can you give me
Do I know?
names
Pardon,
of some
can you
cars
repeat
you can
that?
think of? I said, you know what cars are? CARS, cars. Can you give me a couple of brand
Yes.
names of
Okay.
cars?
Sorry. Yes.
What are they? Give me
BMW, Mazda.
any others?
BMW, Mazda, Subaru.
Okay. What kind of car do you own?
I don't own one.
See, top of mind awareness. All right. But top of mind awareness means that you could rattle off these companies' name, but that doesn't mean that you're a buyer for that company. So you do nothing for their
Right.
bottom line. Now, with advertising, whenever you spend $1, you have got to make at least $1 to pay for the ad. And you have to make a profit over and above that to build your bottom line. So
Right.
in advertising, if we go back and look and say, wow, you keep doing this, but you know, you're losing $2,000 every time you run this program. Why don't we switch this out? And you're doing this every month, by the way. So there's $24,000 you're losing because you're not making money on this.
Right.
Why don't we change our dynamics here? And let's, even if we scale it back and make it smaller, so even if you're only making $1,000 off of it, we can go from losing 24,000 to making $12,000. And that is a $36,000 swing. I can tell you, I was presented with something just yesterday from a local radio station, and I took one look at it, and I've got my formulas, and no, this won't work for me. For what you're proposing on this, I can look at this and know that I have got to do at least 400 units. Not feasible. Thank you very much. We're done. And so those type of things that once you learn it and you've got the formula, you can do it over and over again.
Right. It's repeatable. Makes sense. So, Amy, one of the things that I saw you mentioned in the form you filled out before you came on here is Amy's rule of 10. And I'm very curious what Amy's rule of 10 is.
Let's go back to that advertising example I just gave you. The person who was losing about $2,000 a month. All right. We figured it out. Could document it real quick. So $2,000 a month times 12 months is $24,000 a year they were losing with advertising that isn't making them money. Well, my rule of 10 is take anything and multiply it times 10 to see if it's worth putting your time into to fix. Well, what's 24,000 times 10 years? That's $240,000. That's worth me putting my time into. Now, when we switched over, even on starting on the baby steps to really revamp some of that advertising, and they were making $1,000 a month. Well, what's 1,000 times 12 months in a year? That's 12,000 a year. Well, how much is that in 10 years? That's $120,000 just with that little change to add to your bottom line. And to me, that rule of 10 is so very important because the statistics tell me less than 9% of businesses are going to be here in 10 years. And you've got to be profitable, because how long are you going to do this if you lose money every year for 10 years? You're not going to be there.
Not very long.
Not very long. And remember that example where if we got rid of losing 24 and we gained 12, that is a $36,000 swing times 10. That's 360 grand. You can do something with that.
Yes, I think we can all admit we could do something with that.
You can do something. And some of you think, oh, I don't know, make a difference. You have a cell phone bill, you have something else. You know, what if you change that and you get $50 a month change? Okay, it's not much. That's $600 a year. Times 10 is $6,000. Can you do something different?
Mhm.
was 6,000. So using that rule of 10 helps you look at it. If I was only going to save, $3 a month, not worth my time to invest in
Right.
this unless
Right.
I'm desperate for the $3. But it has been very effective in helping people look at something and quickly make a decision. Is this worth the
Right.
investment of my time or my staff's time? Because it's
Right.
important to delegate.
Right. 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 Excellent. I love the
Does that
rule
make
of 10.
sense?
That's
The
fantastic.
rule of
Because I
10.
think oftentimes people don't, I always talk about how every 1% counts because each 1% in price is a bigger percentage of profit. And it
Absolutely.
counts in both directions, right? And of course, if you look at taking an action on something and you only look at the near term, the short term view of it, you might be missing out on what the real opportunity is there because you're not thinking about it in the medium to long term. And that's really what the rule of 10 is in part about, right?
And you can use this personally and in
Yeah.
business. No, let me throw one out here. Most of us have to have housing. I don't know
Hmm.
very many people that live for free, but even on housing, if you're looking at the difference, well, that's only another, $300 a month. Okay, well,
Right.
what's 300 times 12 months?
12
Are you going to
times.
plan on living there for the next 3 to 5
Yeah.
years?
Yeah.
How much is that? Does it
Yeah.
make a difference to you?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And
it's a
especially, I
very
mean,
good
here in, pardon?
I said it's a very good tool once you
Yeah.
train yourself to just take an extra minute and because your time is so valuable.
Yeah.
Your time is valuable.
Time
You
is
got to have a
valuable.
payoff.
Yeah. And it's usually more, we don't treat it as valuable as it is. I know here in Switzerland, because I live right on the border with France and Germany, a lot of people will go, not right now, but usually they go to France and Germany to do their shopping because it's so much more economical to do.
Mhm.
Yet it takes at least 45 minutes to an hour if you use public transportation, 20 to 30 minutes if you have a car to go over there, and then another to come back. So just in the travel time alone, it's at least an hour, if not more. And you save it. I guess if you have a big family, you might save more. But yeah, and people will be like, I have to go over there. And it shows they don't value their time as much as they do the savings that they will get from their groceries. Yeah.
Right. And if it may not be a trip that's worth 3 items unless they are high ticket
Right.
items. It
Right.
may be that, yes, this is worth it to me, but I've got to save at least X before
Right.
it's worth me making the trip.
Yeah.
And
So, you
I
go
live in
quarterly and you buy all the big stuff and the laundry detergents and
the stuff. Yeah, the things on the grocery bill you can't eat, but you have to have. And we call it groceries. And folks, I live in the Caribbean. I moved to
Mhm.
the U.S. Virgin Islands a little over 10 years ago. And of
Mhm.
course, our costs are high because everything is shipped in
Right.
that you have to have. So I get that. And I joke about we call it progressive shopping. That's because this
Mhm.
store has this the least expensive and this one has this and this is the only one that carries that. And
Yeah.
we call it progressive shopping here because you can't get all of it in one
I
place.
just call it shopping because there are certain things I like from certain stores.
Mhm.
I think that's funny. So, Amy, we're getting to the end of our time here. I have a few more questions, a couple more questions for you. And the first question I like to ask people is, what is the one thing, or what is your biggest or was your biggest pricing challenge or mistake when you first started your business
Oh,
or
I'm going to go back to
businesses?
when we owned the auto repair business.
Uh-huh.
And it was something that I learned. Most people price their employees incorrectly. I learned that the hard way. You will look at your soft costs, you will look at your hard costs, but the one you miss is your overhead costs. We
Mm-hmm.
owned an auto repair facility. So my guys had to have tools, we had to have training, we had to have things in their station. I went back and decided to even look at it and take my building, divide how much my building costs were, and if an employee took up 10%. When I
Mm-hmm.
added the hard cost, the soft cost, and then the cost of their need for their area, And then you look at what you're pricing per hour. And in an auto facility, you also have a markup on parts.
Right.
But I would say most people really miss it on pricing the
Underestimate
employees
that.
correctly because they price them too low. And I had one business that I worked with when we dug down, they were charging $150 an hour for a service. And they thought that was a good number. We drilled it down and it was costing them $198 per hour for the person to do it. And so every time they sold it, they lost money. So
They
I
lost money.
learned that personally, but when I really looked at it from a higher level and included the site costs, or they need a computer, you're going to buy it every 3 years, really dialing down what it costs to support that employee. I think most people grossly underprice what their cost of an employee is.
Yeah. No, very good point. Okay, next question is, what is the one thing that you wish that you know now that you wish you knew early on in your business that would have helped you? So this is sort of like advice for those who are starting out.
Because I've owned more than one business, I will take it from a broad spectrum. If you knew how to do it and you knew how to do it well, it would have been done by now. Hire qualified help sooner rather than later. And it doesn't matter whether that is bookkeeping, pricing help, advertising help. I don't care what category it is. If you can't do it well, bring in somebody who does. Learn it, delegate it when you can. But don't be afraid to bring in somebody who can help get you to the next level. Don't struggle. And it goes back to the cost of your time. Well, I can watch a YouTube, or I can read a book, or I can go to, okay, how many hours are you going to invest in this? And you still haven't got it done.
Right.
So get help sooner.
Yep. Get help. Good. Very good point. So last question, Amy, where can people reach out if they'd like to find out more about working with you and also your wonderful book?
Which one? Right now, if you would go to the address you'll see on the screen, www.thesecretprofits.com, you can download a free ebook that is 7 solutions to add 10 to 100,000 to your bottom line. And these are just a couple of them that I see people struggle with a lot, that there's money that it's lost. Now, there is also a place there that if you'd like to book a free 30-minute consultation with me, and we can talk about your specifics and whether I have some things that will help you or where I might refer you to, that is available just by going to the same link. So I'm very easy to get in touch with.
Okay.
If you wanted to do email because you don't want a phone call and you have just a quick question, my email is success, SUCCESS at thesecretprofits.com. So I'm easy.
And I'll put that in the comments after the show so that you can just click on it, and the link to the website as well. Amy, thank you.
Frankly, folks, geographic location doesn't mean anything to me. Because even if you're working in a different currency than the US dollar, I've built the things that formulas and those things don't change regardless of your currency issues.
Yeah. Although that's another thing that people are often not aware of. Are the currency, the foreign exchange challenge, especially for people here in Switzerland, because we have such a strong currency that is usually leading the pack when others are not. And so it impacts businesses quite heavily here. But that's maybe a topic for another day. Thank you so much, Amy, for joining me.
It's a valid point because it goes back to their pricing. With a lot of the individuals that you're going to be working with, you have to build in the currency fluctuation as part of the pricing component.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, thank you so much for joining me. It was such a pleasure to have you here today. Thanks to those of you who are watching as well, whether you're watching live right now or you will watch this later. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, if you ever have questions and want to talk to me about what's going on with pricing in your business, you can head on over to JanineListon.com/discovery call and book a session with me there. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. We'll see you next time. And as always, enjoy pricing, everyone.
Goodbye.